Hi, my name's Edu Hoff. I'm a recent Penn State graduate here in May of 2023 and with a bachelor's in finance and a minor in economics. And this coming February, I'll be starting at Deloitte as a strategy analyst in the Philadelphia office. Well, my first mock score was a 332, and then I scored 329, and then the real thing, I scored 332. The respective breakdowns were 170 quant, 162 verbal, then a 164 quant, 165 verbal, and then on the real exam, I got a 167 quant and a 165 verbal. So I'm just going to talk to you today a little bit about, how I use TTP to, achieve these scores. So first, I'll talk to you a little bit about how I came across TTP and what my process looked like using TTP. So funny enough, I came across TTP through a friend. So he was taking the GRE a couple months ahead of me because he was looking at the deferred MBA process in college. And so obviously I had his endorsement. I'd done my own online research. I saw TTP was definitely well regarded. And then to top it all off, my buddy got like a 50% discount to give to someone else for some stint of subscription to TTP. So I went ahead and used that in February to get 6 months of the TTP service. And I didn't touch it until May. And then from May to late September, I studied for me to finally take the exam for the first time in late September. And that's when I scored my 332. So I think in my approach to studying for the GRE, I took somewhat of an idiosyncratic approach. I think traditionally most people, what they do is they have some concept of what they hope to score and then set a baseline, study a little bit, retest, see where they're at. If they need to study further, they study a little bit, retest, see where they're at. My approach was different in that I knew I had this chunk of time, however long the subscription was. I was now done with college, so I had a lot of free time on my hands and decided that I was just going to take this time to learn the content of the GRE. And I think that's where TTP really shined for me. It was a really fantastic representative sample of all the information on the GRE, specifically the quant. It was broken down to 20 sections. Then what I was able to do is go through the lessons of each section and do some practice problems and work through them systematically and go through them multiple times so they really had a strong grasp on all the material. And the same goes for the verbal as well. Really good exposure to sort of questions, the sort of vocabulary that's required. And so for me, that's really where TTP shined, is that it had a really comprehensive breakdown of all the material in the GRE. And so by taking this approach, then a more studious approach, just trying to learn the information, enabled me to succeed. Because if TTP didn't have that same representative sample of all the information or the stuff that's tested on the GRE, then taking that approach wouldn't have succeeded for me. So I think that's the biggest thing that TTP did for me, is really just having all that information, breaking down the lessons, segmenting it out so it was really approachable and digestible. So if I were to give any advice to someone taking the GRE, I would just say, rather than trying to get a specific score and artificially limiting your process, I would say, given the time, trust TTP, study the information that they have, and then just take the exam. Try to really master it. You'll do really well. That was very much my experience. I mean, my first mock test was a 332, second one, 329. And before that, I hadn't taken any GREs before, no mocks, nothing. So just going through the material repeatedly, really getting a strong grasp on it, and then just trusting TTP to have a representative set of the stuff on the GRE was fantastic for me. And that would definitely be my advice for anyone aspiring to do well. So on the whole, I had a really good experience with TTP. It honestly made the GRE feel pretty easy. First attempt on the real thing, 332, and I was done. I don't really have aspirations to do better. So TTP has my full endorsement. Thank you.